Here is my honest opinion as a foreigner visiting South Africa for the first time. Oh, by the way, my name is Sami. I visited 30 plus countries. I'm on a trip all around the world and I lived in Australia, China, Morocco, Mexico, you name it. Honestly, I really loved South African people. I think that they are extremely polite. I feel like South African people are a higher level of politeness. Like, how are you? They expect an answer, which is not the case for Australian people and American people who just say, how are you like this, and they don't expect an answer, right? So as a French person, for me, it's really nice because as a French person, I also expect an answer if I ask this question. So whenever a South African person said, how are you? I answer, I'm fine, how about you? And then they say, I'm fine. And then they do a conversation, right? And it's all good, right? So I thought this was extremely heartwarming and I really liked it. I also like how helpful the South African people in general are. And this is very nice, right? The country itself, I mean, obviously is beautiful. Like, I mean, you are in the realm of the kingdom of the Lion King, right? So I spent many days in the savannah. I saw many animals. We were with a ranger her name was Lisa, by the way, and she was extremely professional, and she knew everything there is to know about these animals and about how to get them. We saw a rhino. I mean, it's an endangered species. I did not know, by the way, that there were that many elephants in South Africa. I thought we were going to see one elephant at 5 in the morning and that was going to be it. But no, no, no. There are elephants everywhere. Hippos, giraffes, elephants everywhere. Once we were by a river and I counted 75 elephants. And that was just that one time by the river, which was like, 10 minutes a stop in a whole day ride in the South African countryside in the savannah, right? The food was very good, but my opinion does not count because we were in hotels that had all inclusive, and the hotel, I mean, the chef, we even met the chef. He was from South Africa, obviously, right? And I mean, the food was very good, but it was only that restaurant all the time, right? However, the food itself was made of ingredients from South Africa. For instance, I had springbok carpaccio, that's delicious. I had crocodile carpaccio, sashimi crocodile, that was delicious. I had ostrich carpaccio, that was delicious. I had kudu cooked a little bit in a French way, I would say, right? That was really delicious. So I had many things that are typically South African, just like malula tree, the fruits sort of jelly, right? On scones, on British scones, right? Like, I mean, that was good. Like for breakfast, that's good. Now, the only thing that at some point made me feel a teensy tiny bit uncomfortable is when I made people feel uncomfortable because we were on the ride with the same people all the time. So there were us and two British people and two people, South African people, Afrikaans people from Western Cape and retired Afrikaans people from Western Cape. Very nice people, no problem. However, the British people and us, we talked about everything that European people talk about, right? And that made the Afrikaans people a little bit uncomfortable because we tend to talk about, for instance, I talk about my DNA test. You can go to my channel. I made a video about it, right? Because I am indeed 4% South African myself. 4%, right? And from, the Kruger Park area. So like, I was like, it was, coming back home for me. Every time I said that to anyone, they would say, oh, welcome back home, right? So I'm indeed 4% from the area, and we were talking about this, and then we started talking about the history of South Africa and everything, and the way it made the other people uncomfortable, then boomerang towards me and made me uncomfortable in the sense that I felt like this was a topic that was brushed under the carpet. And in South Africa in general, I feel like there are lots of unfinished sentences. I feel like there are lots of innuendos and a lot of brushing under the carpet, basically, right? Of things that happened before 1992 and even of things that happened after 1992. So when you are a European person or even an American person, or Australian person, coming from countries where these problems do exist as well. You know, racism is not only in South Africa, right? But you know, there was segregation in the United States up until 1960 something, and then the White Australia policy down under, right? So it's not like it's only in South Africa. It's just that nowadays these are things that are talked about. It's like a you know, like a psychotherapy of the whole people, and then therefore it's talked about. Like, for instance, nowadays in Australia, every time, random thing, every time there is a TV program, the TV program, if it involves even mentioning people who are dead, it will say at the beginning, because, you know, Aboriginal people from Australia cannot talk about people who are dead, right? So if that hurts their sensitivity, the TV program would say, if you are sensitive to that, don't watch it. It says that at the beginning, right? Or, for instance, if you take Qantas Airways, a flight from, let's say, Melbourne to Perth, it will say, at the beginning of the flight attendant will say, we acknowledge the custodian of the land over which we fly. The custodians of the land over which they fly are all the different kinds of Aboriginal people who are the custodians of the land of Australia and been recognized as so by the white people who came to colonize, right? And of course, the race issue and segregation and the consequences of slavery are very much discussed in the United States. No matter on which side of the fence you stand, this is a very healthy debate that happens. I really felt like in South Africa, this is a no-no. Like, we just don't talk about it. Like, it never happened. And there is not like, I don't feel like there's a healing that's happening towards that. Therefore, when the British people and us were having these conversations very freely over a picnic in the middle of the Lions, basically, right? The two Afrikaans were not really having it. Like, for instance, at some point I said, oh, with my skin color, I wonder how I would have been treated, how I would have been categorized before 1992. And the Afrikaans man, that retired 72-year-old, who was very polite and very nice, of course, seemed very irritated by me just mentioning that. And he said, like, oh, let's just not talk about it. It's a long time ago. I was born in 1989, so I was alive when this all happened. I don't consider myself very old, so for me it's not a long time ago, but okay, right? So that's the only thing that's a little bit, you know, but, you know, every country has this. Like, you know, in France, for instance, if you say the word race in French, it sounds like it's a word that we don't say. Like, it's a nasty word, right? We don't say that. We have the debate, we have the discussions, but using other words, right? So you see, there are always things that are triggering in all countries, right? And it's just that if you come to South Africa, you should know, just don't talk about it. Just don't. Look at the Lions. The food is good. The people are nice. They're very polite. They're helpful. It's wonderful. Just don't talk about it. Maybe if you go to the museum, you can then talk about it because it seems, you know, like something that you would do, but otherwise don't talk about it. Other than that, it's wonderful. Just come to South Africa. Just do it.